Alzheimer's isn't one disease. It's many. And if we keep treating it like just one, we might be fighting the wrong battle entirely. Before you click away, quick question. What do you think actually causes Alzheimer's? Plaques? Bad genes? Just bad luck? Most people pick one of those. But what if I told you it's not that simple? And if you think I'm wrong, stick around for 2 minutes. I bet you'll change your mind. Hi, I'm Dr. Harshi Peiris. I have a PhD in the biological sciences. And I've spent years studying brain diseases, not as a headline reader, but as a scientist working behind the scenes, inside research labs and alongside biotech companies trying to find real treatments. My goal here is simple, to help you make sense of complex brain diseases like Alzheimer's based on real science and real research and real clinical trials, not just Google headlines or surface-level answers. I'll break down how this disease really works, from what happens inside the brain and the genes that raise the risk, to the tests doctors use, the treatments we have, and the new research bringing hope for better answers. I want to give you clear facts, not fear, so you can truly understand what's happening inside the brain, what actually works, and what doesn't, and maybe even how to protect yourself or a loved one based on scientific facts. So, let's tackle the biggest myth first. When most people hear Alzheimer's, they picture one simple cause, maybe one broken gene or one buildup in the brain. Some people think it's purely genetic. You inherit it, and that's that. But here's the truth. That's only part of the story. Yes, some people are born with genes that raise their risk, but having a risk gene doesn't guarantee Alzheimer's. In fact, only about 5% of cases are truly inherited. The other 95% happen because of a mix of things: genes, aging, environment, tiny strokes, inflammation, and lifestyle. All these small hits add up, changing the brain slowly for years. So to fight Alzheimer's properly, we have to see the whole picture. Not just our DNA, but everything that shapes brain health over a lifetime. Let's go deeper. But first, let us learn how genes really work. Genes sound complicated, but they're really just your body's instruction book. Inside every cell, you have DNA. Think of that as a big cookbook. Inside that book are chapters called genes. Each gene is like a recipe. Each gene has step-by-step instructions that tell the cell how to make a specific protein. These proteins do jobs every second. Some help you breathe, digest food, or fight infections. In your brain, proteins help build brain cells, clear waste, and send messages between cells. When a gene changes what scientists call a mutation, that recipe can get messed up. If the messed up protein is important for the brain, it can cause big problems, like Alzheimer's. Not every gene mutation causes Alzheimer's disease. Only certain rare ones do. Let's look at how these mutations arise and which genes are involved. Let's look at 2 types of Alzheimer's diseases. Which one do you know about? Scientists have found many genes linked to Alzheimer's, but not all genes work the same way. Some rare mutations almost guarantee early Alzheimer's, often in people's 30s, 40s, or 50s. That's called familial Alzheimer's. These mutations run in families and are passed down through generations, which is why some cases of Alzheimer's cluster in certain family lines. One well-known gene here is the APP gene, short for amyloid precursor protein. 2 others are PSEN1 and PSEN2, the presenilin genes. These genes directly cause the brain to make too much amyloid plaque, sticky clumps that build up between brain cells. Look at this image on the screen. In this image, The orange clumps are amyloid plaques. They've built up in brain regions crucial for communication, blocking signals between cells and contributing to the memory loss and confusion seen in Alzheimer's disease. What about the other 95%? Research shows that around 95% of Alzheimer's cases are classified as sporadic, meaning they occur without a clear inherited genetic cause. That's what we call sporadic Alzheimer's. Here, it's not about one single mutation. It's about a mix of risk genes plus age, lifestyle, and environment. One big player here is the APO gene. Having certain versions of APOE, like APOE4, can raise your risk. But it doesn't guarantee you'll get the disease. It just tips the odds. Other factors, like aging, lifestyle, and even the environment, including what we eat and our personal hygiene, can all also play a role. I'll break these down more in future posts. So what does this all mean? It busts the myth that there's just one cause or one cure. People have asked me, can we keep targeting the amyloid plaques and get rid of them? Yes, it is a possibility, but not a complete cure. For example, someone with an APP mutation is making too much amyloid from the start. It's built into their genetic blueprint. So just clearing away plaques isn't enough, because the brain keeps making more. It's like trying to sweep away dust on a windy day. If the wind keeps blowing in more dust, sweeping alone won't fix the problem. To really help, we'd have to stop the wind at the source. In this case, the gene or protein causing the overproduction. On the other hand, APO4 mutations increase Alzheimer's risk in a way that isn't linked to APP mutations. So if we want to target the problems caused by APOE4, we'd need a different kind of drug than we'd use for APP mutations. There are also other indirect factors. For example, there's evidence that certain bacteria or even diet may play a role in some cases. So the treatment would have to change again to target those causes. In other words, Alzheimer's can develop in many different ways, and each cause may need its own targeted solution. This is why Alzheimer's isn't just one disease and why there's no single cure. That's why two people with the same Alzheimer's label might have completely different diseases inside their brains. Now, let's talk about how scientists are tackling this challenge and working to find real cures. So today, we busted the myth that Alzheimer's is just one disease with one cause and one magic cure. We looked at familial Alzheimer's, sporadic Alzheimer's, and the genes that shape both types. But genes aren't the whole story. Factors like aging, the environment, diet, and even bacteria can play a role too. And scientists are digging deeper into how these influence who develops Alzheimer's. There's also promising clinical research happening right now. New drugs are being tested as we speak, and researchers are exploring ways to target not just plaques, but the root causes behind them. And I'll break all of that down for you, piece by piece, right here, so you can see what's real, what's hype, and what actually gives us hope. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who needs real facts, not fear. Drop a comment and tell me what you'd like me to explain next. And if you want deeper dives and clear breakdowns, you can also find me on Substack for detailed, easy-to-understand posts. I'm Dr. Harshi Peiris, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.